Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. First time to the show. This is my Facebook and Instagram ads manager. He does a lot of stuff for me on the conference and the various different projects that I'm doing. I thought it'd be interested to bring him in today just to have some discussions on some of the discoveries that we had together. Would you like to give yourself an introduction to the audience?
Yeah, thanks, Danny, for the opportunity to speak up too. As Danny mentioned, my name is Ferid. I run Google Ads at the same time, but mostly we speak for Meta Ads, Facebook and Instagram. We focus on, and I'm 27 years old, a Turkish guy from Istanbul, and I think that's about it. At the same time being, we'll just get into it in the meantime.
Obviously, you didn't mention a name, but you also work doing ads for one of the largest, if not the largest, conference company in the world. And that's kind of how we met anyway. But it was interesting, some of the results that we got from additional projects. So really what we want to look at is if we just break it down a little bit. Obviously, you got TikTok and you also got Instagram. A lot of people talk about limited growth and reach on Insta now. So what we wanted to do is speed that process up, because obviously there's the problem that you've got depending on what your goals are and what kind of, whether it's an Amazon seller selling products or they're building the audience first to then filter in to sell products. I mean, TikTok works really well for that. We had a discussion on the previous show with Paul Harvey. And what I was saying, it's very difficult to build a community, not an audience, a community on TikTok, because if you think about it, it's inverse to Instagram. So what I mean by that is everyone is on the crack pipe that is the For You algorithm, right? So you could be in danger of collecting followers, but they're not like on Instagram, where a lot of people spend time in the app on the feed more so than explore page. But obviously there's limitations with Instagram, but it's still got a massive audience and it can be relatively cheap if you get it right, which we're going to discuss in terms of building audiences. So let's start with some of the KPIs and criteria. The interesting thing, obviously, the cost per acquisition is important to keep that down in terms of if you're building the community first.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Danny. And I think we should just, as you mentioned, we should start with the beginning, and that's determining the KPIs. And following that, it's just going to unveil itself. And let's talk about the most common one. And as you mentioned, the building an audience first to monetize afterwards. And in TikTok, as you just pointed out, it's relatively more easy to reach the audience, but the engagement side of things and the audience becoming loyal and engaged we see that more in Instagram and meta services actually. So, and let's say brand of us will come to us with a audience expansion project, and they are looking for really quality leads on their soon to be monetized, but it's still in the generating good content side of things. So the first things first is determining the KPIs, so we don't just go our different paths that we will come across in the future. So determining a clear KPI, as in this case, let's say increasing the engaged Instagram followers on the particular page. And if we choose that, we should be looking at the criteria, as in the platforms we are going to leverage for the purpose. And I think that's a common knowledge that you have more flexibility if you put your ads directly from Facebook Ads Manager, and there is Instagram app boosting options, which is giving you the more engaged, more interested audiences that might come in your way. So why don't test them out and get the clearance first, so the hypothesis is true or not. And we determined that with several brands in the near time. So, and there's a third alternative actually, which is using the algorithm from Instagram app, which gives you the more engaged followers, but using the best tools in audience segmentation, flexibility on budget and scheduling, because in Instagram app, you have like preset budgets. It's going to be like 5, 7, 10, 12, maybe. And as in Meta Ads Manager side of things, you can just give every last penny, every last hour, date, whatever you like. And the third alternative is going to be using the ad center instead of the both platforms rather than app.
So we got, so I can jump in. So what we tested for, from our, moving on from our KPI, our criteria was testing with Ads Manager, Ad Center, and the Instagram app. And what you're saying is there's more flexibility there in terms of determined by Ad Center because of the audience options, the scheduling and budgeting, but we still tested them anyway on the same piece of content, but we used all three. But your main discovery for us, what we were doing, you wanted to take the benefits of the Instagram app and remove those limitations through using Ad Center. So we get the Instagram algorithm, but using Ad Center as our way of controlling in more depth in terms of saving audiences, budgeting, scheduling, and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I couldn't say. Yeah, you couldn't say even better than me. And you have to remember that we can use the saved audiences. That's, you said that already, but it's a really important matter. You can create the audience in the ads center, which has everything that Meta can offer, and you can just directly use it on Instagram app algorithm. That's what Ad Center does for you.
Yeah. And just, I'm not sure if you can, we can't pull up the page, but just so if people are asking, so well, how do we combine the power of both of those? What was behind that? There's functionality where you go to a certain page. We can put it in the show notes after, but do you want to quickly explain that part of it so the audience has clarity?
Yeah. And can you just rephrase that for me, please? I had a background. So.
Yeah, sorry, we've got a little bit of background noise here. We'll try and clean up the audio after. So what we're saying was we've mentioned that we want to use the algorithm and the engagement of the Instagram app, but we want the flexibility of Ad Center. And obviously that is all controlled in Ad Center. How's that done if someone wanted to go and set that?
I get it now. Thank you. So that is actually finished in Ad Center. As we talked a little bit earlier before, you create the ad audience, your saved audience, special one that you have like maybe triple size of the audience interest selections from like the 3 times better, 3 times more from the Instagram app. You create them on Ad Center on audience side, and you can even create audiences that include or exclude your current followers and lookalike, but not exactly lookalike. They're Instagram lookalikes, and there are parameters that you can choose from. It's like the people who have liked the last 3 posts or engaged in the last 3 weeks and such as like that. You create that on Ad Center, but I'm so sorry, Ads Manager. But when you go Ad Center to publish it, you will have your saved audience and whatever naming you gave with them, and you can just directly choose it, and you won't believe the difference that you get from the app estimations. And we know the estimations can be sometimes wrong or just misleading. They're misleading. It's not going to be wrong. And estimations will triple itself from the app and the Ad Center as well. So I'll give you some numbers here, because with Ads Manager, we've got a CPA of 199. Ad Center, we've got a CPA of 147, and Instagram app was 288. So clearly there, the benefits you want to get from the engagement side of Instagram using the app, but then overriding the limitations. Now, CPA of 288
is very expensive even if you're acquiring qualified followers for the rest of your content as you build, right?
Yeah.
But even at a CPA of 147, still too high. But we'll get into it later after we run all the tests of where we got with that, which I think would surprise a few people. Because when we was targeting 30 to 65, gender, UK, US, etc., the more you target, generally the more it costs in terms of, initiating that targeting, right?
Of course,
I was very impressed.
Yeah. So sorry. The more detail is how the more detail is gonna be, the more expensive it's gonna be. But just like using the flexibility issue, you compensate with that. If you use your flexibility to deal with that, and you will see the results at the end, which is gonna be like 4 times or 5 times lower CPA than any other platform, actually.
Yeah. So I should mention. What I was should mention now is once we got into launching the campaign, what's key to know is not we just launched 1 or 2 reels. So let's go back quickly on that as well. This is based on the work we did with reels, not other pieces of content. And for those who are not aware, you think the most up until when reels arrived on Instagram, it was carousels had the highest average engagement rate of 3.5%. Reels, on the other hand, is 35. Now, video can be expensive in some people's minds to produce. It simply isn't the case. And in some cases, you can regenerate, repurpose user-generated content and knock out reels in 20, 30 minutes, which in theory, if you think you're putting a carousel together and it's 6 or 7 images, and then you've got the copy, it's about the same amount of time or less. But the important part here is what we should get into as well, is that we did it based on multiple reels. In our case, we've done it on 21, right? So the idea behind this
might be a little bit, with the testing and optimization, it might be a little higher, like maybe near 30. We did a solid 21 reels, but was the solid
right.
ones.
And we've done, in total, I think what happened in total, we launched 30, but the core was 21, wasn't it?
Yeah. We can say the other 9 were like sacrifice pawn for the testing and optimization side of things. Because
we had to sacrifice a few of our pawns on the board, didn't we?
Those weren't bad. They were just allowing us to. We talked about the CPA. The lower, it's gonna be 5 times lower. It's actually 0.29. We see the lowest per follower.
Yeah, and that will go up and down. I think as we've been building this, that will still go up and down. The reason being is when we'll still be optimizing the audience and making adjustments, and so 29 pence is great, but we may see a fluctuation there. And when people are testing, they may see a fluctuation. So basically, the key thing here, the reason we did this, there was a couple, wasn't it? We do what we want to avoid fatigue. So we set a frequency cap to 1, I think it was. And by having the 1 point.
Yeah, 1.3 was. We aimed for that and we achieved that, which is really rare, but I'm really happy about that outcome, because it's gonna be different. You mentioned the TikTok side of things. TikTok is TikTok because it started as something different from we all see squares. YouTube is horizontal, Instagram was horizontal, but TikTok came in and bam, vertical video consumption started. And Reels are just the others alternative of it. They're just competitors competing, vice versa. He does the does the vertical, the other one does the vertical, which is really good for the customers. And I think the other really small factor in Reels' success is that it is vertical, so it's new, it's catching, and it's easy to consume. On the other end, in ads, only the ad sides of things doesn't seem like an ad. It's just they have just a what it's called, the button, the CTA button over there. It feels organic, and when you have the quality pictures, videos, it's just getting easier and easier for you to just get learning side of it. And as you mentioned, the video creation side of things are not that extremely costly in most people's opinions, which I just recently learned from our experience together. And
so
I think we'd be moving on to maybe reporting side of things.
yeah, just before we jump ahead, the reason I want to let the audience know this is because if they go ahead and just test 2 pieces of content, you might not get the results that you're looking for by avoiding fatigue to the same audience, because that's who we basically addressed these ads to, right? It's the exact same audience across all the reels. And it means you get a better idea of what content worked, because it's not a single piece of content in isolation with a high frequency imprint rate of people watching the same content over again. And if you're looking to gain followers, you're basically, some will like some pieces, someone like, will like others. And it's your job to try and work out also how to tune your content if necessary, because ads give you scale to give you more data to do that. But if you're running a new brand, or you're just starting socials on that brand, you're starting from zero, and zero is a long way to 5,000, 3,000, 2,000, 1,000 even, depending on your product, Anyway, so let's go into the reporting now. A couple of red flags to look at.
Yeah. And I think this is applicable for all brands. They just have to be sure, like we talked about, like determining the solid KPI and just learning from the different paths you take, but just not getting along with them. And this means, and we mentioned a little bit of this before, the estimations that the ad platform gives you. And I think this is applicable for Bing ads, Google ads, most of the time, all platforms, because we have to remember that there are companies that are trying to make money. And the more you spend and the more you perform, it's better for them, it's better for you. So, and we should talk about the 2 main metrics that are involved in the real side of things, which is quality ranking and engagement ranking. Okay, so we see, and it's going to be impossible to give the direct numbers from here, but let's do the percentage. And you'll see on your real side of things, you don't get this data from Instagram app, never. You have to go to Ads Manager reporting side of things, which only to get the data, to get the matrix from there. And you can't even edit it from Ads Manager. You have to go to the Ad Setter for it. It's really different, actually. So you'll get 2 important matrix, quality ranking and engagement ranking. Quality ranking is what it sounds like, the average quality of your content, comparing your competitors, let's say, but like it can be a peer-to-peer, is like relevant topics. And engagement ranking is just people engaging on the specific reel or content, and it's relative to the competitors or the people who can be scoped around the people that is engaged on your ad and other ads. Doesn't have to be in the same category as you. So it's beginning, it's a little bit confusing. So what is what? So do I get the competitor comparison, or do I get the follower comparison? So it's gonna be getting tricky. You can't just smell it, And we see with the reels we've worked with you together, and we had like, it wasn't even 35, it was below 25% in the quality ranking side of things.
That's not all the reels, but that we had a 35%, we had a 25%, we had a load above averages, and that's when I questioned. So I had a lot above averages. This is the thing was getting into, is like, is this going to be a problem bringing everything down overall if you're running a multitude of reels? And imagine if they said 35% below average, 20%, and you said to me, don't worry about it. I said, well, what happens to the account? Is there like because I don't know enough about Facebook ads anymore, because I don't set them up anymore. But I was concerned if any historical issues that could build up with the quality of your ads and how that would affect in terms of costs and stuff. But then it transpires as what you said. What are the metrics we got to look at to offset it? So what we're looking for is link clicks. Yeah. And you were showing me an ad. You said, look at this one. This has got 934 link clicks and it's 35% below average. And then I got one with, and then 27, I think it was 27 link clicks or 29.
Four
and it was above. Yeah. And it was above average. And it's like, what's going on? Yeah.
It was above 75% above, but it was performing 4 times lower than the other one where we see that is quality ranking is below 25. So it's basically proves us that this doesn't have anything to do with your actual quality. And if it was, they should all be near the same, right? Because you use the same camera, same microphone, background. It's all, you have the standard. Yeah. Even the colors, you have the harmony. That's the style of, the content, right? So why is it that different? It should be different. If it's going to be different, it should be just like 10%, 20% difference between, and maybe it's not even acceptable too. And you see that is focused on the user side of things, the follower side of things, the perception of it. And clearly, in my personal opinion, it will drive you to, it might drive the manager to just, maybe I should put more money on it, or maybe I should just change audience, which can trigger your learning pace. And you shouldn't get onto that. That's a whole other.
Yeah, we'll go off subject there. But generally the idea is look out for that and don't get freaked out by it, basically. What your key metric is comparing the link clicks. Yeah, because that's the end goal.
Playtimes, we should mention.
And video playtimes, yeah. We're going to get into that, which is over 3 seconds. We know historically, shorter the reels are, generally the better they are, because everyone's dopamine is blown. And so basically the rewards are kicking in. So you'll look at a lot of data. But when I showed a concern, I said, well, look at this one. It says 8 seconds. And the reel, I think, was on that one, I was doing a bit longer. I think it was about 34 seconds. So my initial idea was, what, does that mean we have to look at that reel? Do we need to chop it down to get it nearly 8 seconds to get better? But there was no way of cutting that reel down without removing loads, butchering it, and then removing context.
Yeah, the added quality is disturbed if you have to, if you do it in the 30 seconds, and if you are certain with your KPIs, you know what you want, you know what's your added value. So that's the minimum it gets, right? Yeah. And if it's the metric is telling you the average playtime is 8, that's just the thing with the ads that is not searched for. That is just a pop-up when people they are interested. They might be interested because we target them. Yeah, it's a really detailed targeting. So it's not a bad thing for them, but it's unexpected. Maybe if you're in the feed side of things, it might be a little bit annoying. And we think about that. So we set the frequency cap to 1.3. So we eliminate that. And so we are sure of ourselves. We are going through the KPI and we optimize for not giving the audience fatigue. So why is that? Why is that 8 seconds? Why should we look 3 seconds? Because the environment is advertisement. And you hook it. You hook the user with ad. And if you have the link
to interject, you almost don't want them to watch the whole video and jump.
Yeah.
You want them, the whole part is spark. I like this, generally over 3 seconds before they've made that decision to get enough information. And what you said was, do you want to explain?
Getting them to your own environment, which is organic, which is prepared, and which is served to your customer in a way that you're pleased with. That's why you're going ads, right? So 3 seconds plays are a win for me. You get them out of from and on. I'm so sorry, we have to rephrase that. Only getting 3 second video plays is not going to be valuable for anyone. If you have the links to support that, or the engagement shares, shares might be it, saves are really good. We don't have the official announcement of saves to the algorithm. How is it affecting? But we see the difference in the saved content, shared content is peer-to-peer. That's how Facebook created, peer content creation and sharing with each other. So if your content is sharing between peers, it's a win. And if you have them click on the link, which is going to your profile. That's a win. They have 3 seconds watch. And I think we should move on to the part that is accumulating to organic plays. Yeah?
Yeah.
Because after we
Shall I
capture
go
them...
through? Shall I go through some quick data here, and then you can fill all the gaps?
Good. I think it should be really good.
Yeah. So I'll give you a couple of statistics, which was very common with inside of the account across these reels. So just to break it down, and I'll title this on the show, is I discovered, or we both discovered, because we was doing all the calculations. So how does this work out? Is the reporting fucked, basically? Is it completely off? And like, it was consistent when you run the numbers. So give an example. So we had a reel that had 1,008 plays. We ran the ad. The plays were 94,309. The results were organic plays, 51,439. Ad plus organic plays was 439, with a total ad spend of 1477 using the metrics of targeting. And it's like, oh, hold on a minute. So how does this kind of work, right? So if you imagine, if you're listening back on the podcast, you've got organic plays from the raw, the first launched reel with no ads, right? Then you've got the ad plays, you've got the total plays, you minus the ad plays. Then you've got the new organic plays. So even if you factor in reporting, it's like, where have all these additional organic plays coming from?
Yeah.
That was our kind of what we were scratching our heads over, is you had 1,008 and then 40,000+ organic, but after the ads. Now, I don't believe it's because there is a simulation of you get more organics if you run ads. I don't think it's like that. I just simply think it comes down to the volume of ad, the volume of plays countered with similar metrics, likes, shares, saves and stuff. That part of it is where they're pushing out to get more reach, to then get more impressions, right? So if I give you numbers on the second one we did. So this one had 1,235 plays, organic pre-ad. Then we run the ad, and then it plays is 85,000. Results, organic plays 40,000, ad and organic 125,000. On that one we spent 25.33. So going back to the point, comment, shares, likes, saves, etc., is affecting the performance on the Explore home and the Explore feed, which is a side effect. The organic comes as a side effect post the ads, which will give you additional reach. Was there anything we'd missed in there? Yeah, it's just like, it was puzzling at first, but it's like, okay, this is great. And then it's like, is this bullshit? We looked at a couple, and then we looked at another one, and it's like, they've still got 20,000 extra organic plays. And I'm like, I'm trying to go, no, it's false numbers, reporting's gone to shit or whatever. But then you looked at all the other reels, and it's the same thing happen every time. Every time you looked at it, you had your organic, run the ads, then you got post, then you deduct. And it's like, well, where does all these additional plays come from? So there's a kind of side effect on spending on ads. Is there anything I missed in that part?
That's the side effect we kind of like, yeah? We don't.
Yeah, but that's the discovery as a non-Facebook ads guy, because I'm not.
Yeah.
But that discovery was wonderful for me. It was just like, wow. And at the cost, we're not talking 150, 200 pounds, 300 pounds or anything like that, or higher. It's like, I think most people would love that organic reach as long as the targeting's right. 20, 30 quid on an ad, spend 20 on a reel, like third-party video editor. Suddenly, creating video content and reels is going to be much more sustainable over the long term if you're a brand, an Amazon brand that wants and needs to build that audience first. Because I think we're in an age now where followers are great, but it's a metric. You want engaged followers, but there's no guarantee you're reaching all those followers. Do you see what I mean?
Of course. Yeah. Then gonna be followers, but when we say quality followers, it includes loyalty. Yeah.
Yeah.
It includes engagement. And I think the most important thing is peer-to-peer sharing. And I don't know if you remember, people were messaging the account and they think they were messaging their friends with them.
And they was hitting the inbox of the page,
Yeah. The watch together side of the reels. They think that they sent the content and they talking with each other. The conversation is like really friendly, and it's really obvious that they're trying to talk with each other. And we see that it's sharing, and the other guy, you don't see on the matrix that if I send from ad or from organic, doesn't matter. If I send to you, I see that in my reporting, but if you send it to anyone, I don't see that in reporting, which kind of explains the organic increase, because we only see the first customer touch point and the half of the other touch point, which the ad receiver sends the content to his friend. And we don't get the data after that. We only have the results of that, the organic increase over there. And I think we should underline this one too, which is the frequency side of things. We have the increase is like how much it's gonna be 85. I'm talking about the second example. It's gonna be 85,000 organic reach pre-ad. And this is gonna be costing us how much it was, like 20 pounds or something like that.
24 pounds or something.
And the frequency is just over 1 or just 1. So nearly each of them is a person. And this is from account center data. This is not from the clicks or the last click or data driven attribution, nothing. This is from account center, their accounts. And you can say, if your frequency is 2 or 3, you can say, okay, I got this 85,000, but maybe one dude is just playing it over and over and over. It's not the scenario here. Nearly all of them are verified persons that have different separate accounts with each other. So, and it's great that you have the KPI solid and you're walking towards that. And this is the fruit of it. Even if you don't see it in your report that is 85,000 people send it to each other. You don't see it on your report, but you see it on your results. And your frequency is 1. So everybody is watching one time. So this should be, this is reaching about 145,000 people. That's reported as
targeted as well.
I'm sorry?
And targeted as well. The unknown that we don't have, right?
Really detailed targets.
We've got really detailed. I'm just thinking on this on the fly, just spitballing with you. What we don't know is, because we don't know exactly where that reach come from, is it serving the same audience, I imagine, right? Because you remember, there's organic plays. So when they push it out, we don't know, and no one would ever know, where that portion would come from. Because it may not be based off our targeting. It may just be based on what the Instagram organic algorithm is placing. Does that make sense? I was just thinking about that just now. But either way, for 25 quid, all them organic plays, and you're using Target Pre, I mean, why not? Why not? Do you see what I mean? So that's why it's worth testing this stuff. And don't forget, not for everyone, because it's the gold rush of reach, is jumping on TikTok. But TikTok's not going to be suitable for every single brand. Instagram might still be good.
Sustainable.
No, it won't be, because what happens, why is it, at some point, the reach will be capped, whether it's an ads thing or more and more people pour onto the platform, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing that Facebook itself is losing engagement and dropping. TikTok's out there at the moment. I'd say Instagram's just behind it, or maybe a long way away, but still big enough at 2 billion or whatever. But I don't know exact Facebook numbers, but I know that they're not still growing. And let's be honest, Facebook's been around, 20 years nearly? That's a long run. I mean, what did Tom and MySpace get? 2 or 3 years? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
I think I see. And this made me question this. I don't know the exact number. Maybe it's just hearsay, but
yeah,
I think like the entry to TikTok is really high, right? Daily, week, monthly entry to like account created to TikTok is really high, but the daily left is, I think it's parallel. We should look up the numbers, and it shouldn't be like a cloud, but we should maybe support it if there's data on it. But on Instagram, like people stop using Facebook regularly, right? But they still have it. They check the, what do you call them? Birthdays. They check the special events. They check the sometimes cafes,
but they don't engage there.
Yeah, but it's still there. It's still there. In TikTok, there's a lot of lost people, which you can't get the insight of, like, why aren't they engaging with me? They're still here. They're still there, but it's not, they're not engaging. Where's the old volume? There's a lot of questions to go around over there, actually.
Well, look, let's wrap that there. If people want to reach you, what's the best way to reach you if they've got questions?
I think I can give you my email at the end, and we can just post it over.
I can put that straight into the show notes. Anyone wants to reach for it, any questions, etc., I'll put his email details in the show notes below this video when it goes out. Again,
maybe
thank you.
Can have the point person to do the intros. I don't know.
No, I'll send anyone to read. Well, it depends if I get a flutter from them, but I'll put your email in there and people can reach you. Great. Thank you for coming today. Guys, thank you very much for your time and attention. Sharon will be up next. I'll be back here next week. Take care of yourself and your family.